Hello, everyone, and welcome, welcome, welcome. We are continuing our broadcast series, Minding My Mental Health. I am Tenitria Buffington's licensed professional counselor, and I have with me the illustrious, wonderful Miss Maggie Bush. As people are joining, you guys know I want you to hashtag live and let us know where you're watching from, and hashtag replay if you're watching this on a replay. Again, we are just excited to have our special guest today. Most of you know that I moved to Atlanta about 5 years ago to pursue some acting and doing different things. And so we wanted to talk to people that are in that industry and finding out more about how we're handling our mental health, right? So let's give people just a few minutes, Maggie, to join. Let me make sure because I don't want anybody to miss it. So again, I see a couple people jumping on. So let us know where you're watching from. Share this video, share the broadcast. I see my brother Ralph just jumped on. Hey Ralph, let me know if you're watching from my professional page or my personal page. So we're going to give people just a few moments before, again, I want everybody to hear all the great wisdom that you have for us.
Exciting.
So, Maggie, tell me what you've been up to lately.
For those who don't know, my name is Maggie Bush. I am a writer, producer, mama, wife, all that and then some. So I have been up to a lot of different things. I currently work at Tyler Perry Studios as a writer and a writer's assistant as well here, working on a documentary, working on a biopic on top of that. Um, just a lot of different things career wise, working on some great stuff outside of that. I'm helping with my husband's business, E-Trade Productions. We are, you know, creating and not waiting all the time. And we have an app going on as well, the Content Creators app. We just got a lot of different things that we have our hands into. So it is quite the season for us.
So where would some people have seen some of your work as far as a writer and even some of your acting stuff? What projects have you worked on that people may be familiar with?
Our latest project, Mediator, is a mental health thriller. You can find that on Tubi. We won the Toronto Film Festival and Montreal Film Festival with
Woo!
that. Yeah, we're very grateful for that one. You can also see Mixed Emotions Volume 2, which you all were a part of, you and my baby girl. You can find that on Amazon Prime. That deals with colorism within the Afro Latinx community. And so that deals with that aspect. You can see some of that. My husband and I were um, in a Mercedes Benz commercial. You can probably see that streaming places, just in those areas like that.
Well, yes, Brielle was, or you all gave Brielle her first
Hmm.
opportunity into
Was
acting.
that her first?
That was her first. She was 4 years old. I remember she had to miss a few days of pre-K to
Hmm.
the shoot, and she was excited about it. But also, she said, "Wait, I didn't know I was going to have to miss school."
What a
So yeah,
gem.
she was really excited about that opportunity, and so I was very appreciative of you all allowing her to do that. So tell me, Maggie, how did you get to this place in your career? Kind of what path did you go? The school route? Did you go more of just doing your own thing? I know you and your husband are very big with create your own stuff. So tell
Hmm.
me how you got to this place.
So we've been here about 5 years as well. But back in Chicago, where I'm originally from, I was in the medical field for about 15 years. My husband started his production company about 10 years ago, maybe a little over 10 years ago there. Um, it started off with someone stole my wallet, and when I went to the bank and they offered me a credit card, and we was like, and my husband was like, I kind of want to get into production. So we bought his first camera on the credit card. So with that, it started the trajectory of production as far as E-Trade Productions is concerned. In that, I just kept on going in the medical field, had great benefits and all that good stuff. But my goal was to definitely get out of that medical field after the, you know, first 2 years that I took it serious. I went back to school for journalism because I was a young mom. I didn't finish school. I did finish school as a wife and a mom of two. I got my degree in communications and in journalism, and got my first job before I even finished. So I was blogging for a mental health organization that my husband got me a job at, and that started the trajectory of things. I even started to write a short film called Jaded, which was sold to Shorts TV. But originally, that film was when I first wrote it. My husband gave it to a couple people, and they trashed it. So I cried about it, and but I just kept going, and him pushing me as well as producing the rest of my projects. When we moved down here to Atlanta, I quit my great job. We moved down here with a 2-month contract, and I started just taking online courses and doing things like that, helping him develop his school online course for production, and just started to write for free. So Screening Room ATL at the time was open, and I wrote like over a dozen short films for free, and
Mm.
I gave it to them, and they produced them all. So that started to get people's buzz about who I was as a writer. But I sold all of my writing into people,
Mm.
and just to get my name out there. And with the help of my husband, who produced all of it, people were able to see my work. So as a writer, the hard part about as writing is people don't get to see your work. So you definitely in this day of age, when there's a iPhone or whatever, you don't need those big cameras. Just shoot your stuff, and
Right.
let people see it. Put it on social media. So that's the coolness about this season. But back then, all that stuff was still starting, and not even as trending as it is now. But after that, my mentor, we were on a project together. Cass Seeger, shout out to her. She asked Eugene, "Hey, do you have any projects?" And he's like, "We sure do." And so that, so we gave her Mediator, but in between that, we shot Mixed Emotions Volume 1 here, Mixed Emotions Volume 2 here, all on our dime. And it was rough, but just to get ourselves out there and to make our names known, me as a writer, and for the company Each Way Productions just to be known, because we were known in Chicago, but in Atlanta,
Mhm.
we were just, no one knew. It was the first event my husband went to, was Screening Room, and he knew nobody, and that's unusual for him because in Chicago he knows everyone.
Mhm.
So that journey became started and buzzing here, and getting known from people and getting seen, your work getting seen. That's what started the buzz for me.
So you mentioned doing your project and then having it trashed and you crying. So to in this industry, I think there's a lot that people don't understand of people that seem to be an overnight success have typically been at it for a long time. So
Yes.
overnight can be 10 years. Overnight
Yeah.
can be a 20-year process. And a lot of that comes with what seems to be or can feel like rejection or a lot of no's, and it can really be hard. Tell me what you've done to kind of, again, we're coming from this mental health perspective of what you've done
Hmm.
to be able to maintain that mental toughness to continue to go after the goals, to go after those dreams when you do hear no or that's trash, because no one wants to put their heart out there to then be told that's not what we're looking for, that's not what we want.
It's true. I think you're going to get a lot of no's in this industry, and that's something that you need to just develop that muscle in that area. So the first time, like I said, I cried, but after a while, you won't cry anymore. You'll just start getting better. And for me, what helps is when you're knowledgeable about your work and your craft, perfect it. Perfect your craft over and over and over. So that gives you a sense of confidence that you need. That does not mean you still won't
Mhm.
get the no's, but at least your confidence level in what you do will get, better. And as far as mental health aspect is concerned in this industry, and especially as a Black woman, it's tougher. You know, it's seemingly a man's world, but we are definitely forging our way, especially as writers, and with Shonda Rhimes and the Issa Raes who have come along, and now writing is sexy. But I was writing um, when it wasn't sexy. So it is building that stamina, that toughness, I had a great partner who, definitely pushed me and elevated me as well in that area, in that space. So I did have support, but there
Mm-hmm.
are times it's still, even then, like getting my journalism degree, I had a colicky baby. My husband was working all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It is that drive that you have to just kind of dig into and say, this is my calling and my purpose. If this is just your hobby, then perhaps I would say then just keep it as a hobby. But if you want to make this as your career, it is something that you're going to have to just put your big girl draws on or big boy draws on and just forge ahead. Mentally, it is, for number one, I believe in God and Jesus is
Mm-hmm.
my faith. So I definitely, a lot of nights crying to God, God, am I even cut out for this? I
Mm-hmm.
questioned myself over and over and over as to whether or not this is even for me. And forging ahead, and you can kind of see the glimpses of God and you get his little kisses here and there when he opens certain doors for you or introduces you to certain people. And then that gives you the motivation to keep going.
Yeah. So I see people tagging. Go ahead and keep tagging. We want people jumping in here. We know a lot of people get discouraged when they're going after their dreams. And this is important.
Mm-hmm.
Maggie's going to give us some great tools and gems as along the way. Now, you mentioned having a child at the time, early on, having a little baby and having two older kids, being married. How did you balance, or how do you still balance, uh, moving up in your career and doing all that stuff and being a wife and a mom and everything? Uh-oh, I think she froze on us. Again, I'm just going to take this moment while she's frozen for you guys to just continue to tag, continue to share. Thank you, Tish Calhoun. I see you sharing and tagging. Get these people in here so they can get this good info. I'm hoping Maggie will come back here. Let's see what we got going on. Keep tagging, keep sharing. I want to just encourage you guys. Want some kind of key tips what we're talking about now while Maggie's frozen. We have Maggie Bush, who is a writer and an actress here in Atlanta. She is currently working with Tyler Perry Studios and part of the writing team. Maggie's probably going to jump back in here in just a moment. She is currently a writer for Tyler Perry Studios, again with the writing team. And what she does is really amazing. And her husband, they have a production company called E-Trade Productions. And basically, they encourage entrepreneurs, artists to not wait for somebody to put you on. And most of the time, that's what people do in life, not just in this industry, in life. People are waiting for somebody to give them their big break. And what their company is really all about is encouraging artists to not wait for somebody to put you on. We have the great thing about social media is that we have our own platform to do these things. And so when you begin to wait, when you begin to put your kind of destiny in the hands of somebody else, you can get really frustrated. You can get really discouraged. But I want to encourage you to continue to say, what can I do? How can I move forward? There she is. She's back. So I was just them kind of a word of encouragement, as you guys have talked about for so long about you and your husband about creating content, not waiting for somebody to put you on. So that's kind of what I was talking about there.
Okay. I'm not sure if I'm frozen. Am I frozen?
I can hear you. There you go. You're a little bit frozen. There you go.
You see
Okay,
me?
I see you.
You look frozen on my end.
Oh
It could be
no,
my internet, but as long as I'm not frozen, I'm good.
no, you're good.
Okay, so what was the question? I'm sorry.
I have no idea. I think we were talking about the balance, Maggie. The
Okay.
balance of how you were dealing with being a wife, a mom, and a career person.
So I think I'm not sure if it's a such thing as balance more so than it
Hmm.
is it's managing.
Yeah.
So someone asked me, how do you balance this before? It's off balance, right? It's more so you have to manage all these areas in your life as a mom, as a wife, as a writer. And my career has taken off this year, and I see God's hands upon it, but it affects these other areas in
Hmm.
my life. And you can't be, naive to think that because I'm in my career that my children are not affected or my marriage is not
Yeah.
affected or my health is not affected. So within this year alone, I seen God's hand on my life, I felt the highest I felt and the lowest I've felt. And people wouldn't know that by looking at my social media.
Mhm.
So I had to go seek some therapy. So I am currently in therapy trying to fix that out because I don't know the answers, right?
Mhm.
All I do know is that when you feel like you're in a state of mind where you don't know the answers to, sometimes it's okay to go get some help, right?
Yes.
So for me, I am definitely career-wise, God is so good and I'm killing it. Emotionally and this other side that I have not experienced before,
Mhm.
I'm not. And I would say, like, I remember a few months ago, I told my husband and a close friend of mine, I said, I'm not okay. And when I discovered that I was not okay, I went and sought therapy, and I'm still in it now. And I can't say that I'm fully out of it, but I can definitely say that therapy has helped.
Yeah.
Enlightening has helped. And disclaimer, when you start therapy, you start unraveling a lot of
Listen.
old stuff and trauma and things like that. So it doesn't feel good initially. It feels disgusting. You feel gross. You feel shame. You feel sad. You feel all those things, but you still have to get up. You still got
Mhm.
to go to work. I still have to be a mom. I still have to write. I still have to do what I got to do. But getting that help, I think in this season has been my saving grace.
So first of all, I want to say thank you for sharing that with me. And everybody knows that I am constantly promoting mental health awareness in our community. That is a part of my heart. I believe that's a part of the reason I'm here to do what I do. But
Yeah.
I think you brought up some really great points of it's okay to say, "Hey guys, this is new for me. Success
Yeah.
is something we all want, but it also brings different challenges, and it's okay to say this is new. I need help. I need somebody to help me navigate when I may have to miss my child so and so, or
Yeah.
how to navigate, even like you talked about, past trauma, because your career can take off and you've never dealt with some things. And so
True.
those things are so important because it bleeds into every part of our life. Even your
Absolutely.
writing, we write from who we are. We create from who we are, and so that's really important that we do go on that journey for healing and go on that journey for um, doing what we need to do. And so again, I appreciate your vulnerability and your openness to sharing that.
Yeah.
um
I'm telling you, it has to be more than just for me. When I was going through it, and when I tell you low, low, and even the whole thing when Twitch came out and it seemed like
mhm,
he was fine on social media, that really got to me because to me it's like people don't really know how low you are and they'll look at your career. I was at the Grammys. I was killing that red carpet with my
mhm.
husband. But there's some internal things that I struggle with, even as a writer, even as a mom, as a wife, and there's some things that I have to figure out. But in that, you need help, and it's okay to say that you need help.
So you brought up social media, and I think that's really, really good because social media does do just what you said. It gives people that beautiful highlight of look at Maggie, she's at the Grammys. Look at
Mhm.
her killing in
Mhm.
this white dress that you were rocking.
Yeah.
Um, she's out. She's working with Tyler Perry Studios. They're having
Mhm.
an event. She's out on Thursday nights doing this and doing that, and
Mhm.
just it looks really glamorous for a lot of people. And I think what often happens too is that people forget that that is a part of your life, but you are
Mm.
still very much human living that experience. And
Absolutely.
you were not the only person that was impacted by the losing of Twitch. There were so many people that I worked with, or that talked about how impactful that was, because so many times we wear a smile,
Yeah.
um, and we look great on social media. We're dancing, we're doing the latest TikTok things, we're getting a huge following, but we're not saying, "Hey guys, if you could send up a prayer for me because today
Yeah.
was a rough day." Or even just doing the work like you did, even if you don't have to broadcast when you're having a hard time, but sometimes just recognizing, "Hey, I've got to step away and do some real internal work."
Yes, absolutely. And then there's some things that you need to do. I think a couple weeks ago I went live on Instagram talking about character development.
Mm.
it was a day that I felt overwhelmed in my emotions and sad. And so I said, you know what? I need to shift this energy. So I said, let
Mhm.
me pour into somebody else. So I went live and started talking about character development. And so I shifted the energy off of myself and poured out into others, which
Yeah.
helped. So there are times that helps. There are times you can't. There are times you just can't say anything. I would just take a bath and just, there was a season of which I was talking to my mama one day. I was like, I keep taking a warm bath every night. And
Mm.
I guess it felt comforting. It felt like I was, in a sense, back in my mother's womb. And it was like, perhaps I am looking for a sense of comfort. So you start then now analyzing yourself and why do I do certain things or why do I say these things or whatnot. And it's okay to do that.
Yeah, it is very much okay to identify some needs in our lives and go after them. Tell me, what are some of the biggest aha or breakthrough moments you've had through therapy?
So shout out to Dr. Glass who's been helping me out. I have gone through what they call, I guess it's called a psychodynamic therapy,
Mhm.
where they uncover a lot of things from your childhood. So
Mhm.
there are certain things, there's some aha moments that I would disassociate in my life. So like
Mm.
my favorite cartoon is Little Mermaid, and that's because her voice was taken from her at a young age,
Ooh.
as mine's was. My favorite Marvel movie is Doctor Strange because he's able to get out of his body. His body gets beat up, and then he goes back into his body. So disassociating was something that I would do
Oh.
naturally. And even I love turtles because turtles can go inside their shell. So there are certain aha moments in therapy that I've discovered about myself, some natural tendencies about myself that therapy has helped me. And now that I'm able to recognize those things, I can recognize when I am doing those things that perhaps, you know, helped aid the brokenness of you. Because when you disassociate, people disassociate for whatever reason. It should not be disassociating for a decade.
Right.
It's not meant to do that. So then those tendencies are, then you become passive or compliant, or
Mhm.
you'll start doing certain behaviors that are unhealthy just to survive. So then you recognize that you're in survival mode for so long, and then you're a functioning survivor. So
Mhm.
then I'm having kids, I'm having a career, I'm having all these things, and internally I am dying, and not recognizing why or where that came from.
Yeah. So I think what you said was really powerful. Being able to recognize, if I'm in this situation, I have the tendency to go inward or to
Yeah.
step away, and how learning how to stay present, learning how to enjoy the moments, even in the success that you're having in your career, being
Mm.
able to say, this is a good moment. I'm actually
Yeah.
going to stand in this moment and feel it and receive it. What would you say? You talked about having your voice taken away, and to me that's one of the most powerful things we have is our voice.
Yeah.
um, what would you say to specifically young women, women of color, as to the importance of maintaining and using that voice today?
Yeah. I think for a lot of us, like, abuse is the first time a lot of us women have experienced your voice taken away from you. And so there are a lot of women out there who have experienced whether physical or emotional abuse,
Hmm.
where it has built a form of PTSD in you, that you feel like no one's going to take you seriously, or you've been in a relationship where um, you're afraid to speak up because of fear of rejection or fear of abandonment or any of
Yeah.
those things that have happened. And in those spaces, you have to recognize that. Don't get mad at yourself if that was you. For number one, I'm not mad at the little girl who didn't speak up or the teenager who didn't
Right.
speak up,
Right.
because that's what she had to do to survive.
Yes,
But
say it
now
again.
it's time to live, right? So at this point, recognize that your voice was taken from you and applaud her for surviving those moments in your life, whether it's through a marriage or through
Mhm.
abuse or whatever else. Recognize that that was a part of who she was, but now discover who you are now, what you
Mhm.
can take, what you can't take, right, wrong, or indifferent. It is important for you to just say, I am no longer interested in this, or this is how I feel about it. And I think what we do is we're afraid of rejection,
Hmm.
judgment. We're afraid of all of that. And at the end of the day, you're responsible to yourself, to God. If you have children, you're responsible to them, to
Yeah.
heal. And in my career, I know that this is just the tip of the iceberg. I am responsible to the people that I'm going to affect and the people that I mentor to be strong enough, and for my daughter and for my husband, and for those around me that need me to be the best that I can be,
Hmm.
right? So if I don't have me, then how can I expect anybody else to support anyone else? So for me, finding your voice is important, to just recognize the trauma, go through that process, because that doesn't feel good.
Hmm.
Um, but you're not what happened to you.
Right. So I'm glad you said that, because I think that's the thing. So many people, when they've experienced something traumatic like that, they start to internalize it and to believe that that is their shame to carry, as
Yeah.
opposed to saying that person who didn't say anything actually kept me safe,
Hmm.
and was doing whatever they thought in that moment to survive. And
To
so, like
survive.
you mentioned, it is a thank you that we say to that version of us. Thank you
Yes.
for doing what was necessary to get me to this place. I appreciate it, and now I'm going to move this healing journey even further through dealing with these things and recognizing any lies that we've believed, recognizing those things. And again, I think when you're talking about success in any field, really, we can tend to say, I don't want to talk about that. Let's just focus on the good. Let's just focus on the fact
Yeah.
that I'm going to the parties. Let's focus on all of these things. But the healing is, it is important. It is so important.
Mm.
Otherwise, we get to the height of a career, and that's when you see a lot of people really have these breakdowns, because they've not taken that time to say, hey, I'm worthy of spending time to heal. I'm worthy of healing.
Indeed. And then I think for us to just evaluate ourselves and say that we are is so important for our growth. Um,
Hmm.
and I honestly, like, I've cried more this year than I have. I don't even know. And I'm a crier. So for me to say that is insane, right? But I've felt the lowest I felt this year and the highest. Two
Mm.
things were happening at the same time, right? So I'm like, can we get something in between, please, God? Because I'm just these extremes here are just trying to wear me out. And you got to know when you're worn out as well, because then you can't make any decisions in those
Mhm.
spaces either. So if you find yourself in those extreme areas, do not make any life-changing decisions, because really it comes from an emotional place. And
Mhm.
allow yourself the process of healing, of deliverance, however you want to call it, of
All of
letting
it. We
go.
believe all of it over here.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's important. I think as women, especially as Black women in this industry, in the film industry, in the writing industry, in the acting industry, it's already tough. The people look at our exterior, and they'll look at your beauty, and they'll
Yeah.
judge you by that. And they'll look at my career, and like you said, overnight success. Like, we just came from the Grammys with our beautiful friends Jay Ivy and Tari Ture, who won 2 Grammys. And but he's been doing poetry for 30 years,
Right.
so it looks like an overnight success for him, but you don't know that the trials and tribulations that they go through as artists, as a married couple, as
Mhm.
a Black man, Black woman. So to me, I think the beauty in this place that I am in, I kept saying that I was broken, but now I keep saying that I'm gracefully broken, because I didn't
Mm.
die here.
Yeah.
And if at any moments I felt like I was.
Yeah. And I want to just kind of piggyback on that, that fact that it can take a while for the world to see that success. One of the things that my pastor talked about years ago, he would always tell us, he would say, my prayer is that God not elevate me higher than my character can sustain.
Mm,
And to me, that was so powerful. And a part of that character development is the inner healing. You
Indeed.
talked about character development from the acting perspective, but
Right.
even our character, as in who we are, we have to do that because those are the important times that we can give from a place of wholeness. We can give from a healed place, when we've taken that time. And so again, I love your vulnerability. I love the fact
Hmm.
that you are doing the work, that you are encouraging other people. And that's what I'm here to do, to talk about. You can be successful. And in that success, we still have to make time, room, and space for ourselves and to take care of ourselves and to put our mental health on the forefront. So again, I'm just so thankful. Can you talked about the really high highs. What were some of those victorious moments you had in the past year that
Uh,
felt like I'm on top of the world?
yeah. So the biggest thing is, we sold our film. That film, The Mediator, was a mental health passion project of mine that I wrote 6 years ago. So the fact that it got distributed this year
Mhm.
and was able to affect many people, not just our lives, but the actors and those who were a part of it. They got to have something that they were proud of, and to win the awards. That was a major moment for us. Another major high that I have, definitely working at the studio here and seeing God's hand on my life and the doors that are opening as a result, right? So in my career wise, that was huge. To be at the Grammys with our friends, I mean, that's major. Like, to see people winning around us, I think those are the best highlights that I've seen. Even in this broken place that I feel, I see God's hand. So out of everything I'm saying, to see God's hand still bless me tells me the love of the Father, shows me the love of the Father.
Mhm.
And it's not because of who I am, but it's because of whose I am that I am blessed. And so, if there's any huge, major impact that I have as far as my career and family is concerned, is understanding truly the love of the Father in this season. And once you get that revelation of whose you are, for those of us who believe and trust God, it takes the onus off of you, and
Yeah.
so you can just go ahead and do your best. And if you fall, you fall, get up and know that God still has you. So I think that has been my newfound revelation.
So, Maggie, I know that you are working out at Tyler Perry Studios. That
Mhm.
name alone has a lot of weight, not just in
Yeah.
Atlanta, but
Welcome
just
to my office.
right. um, Tell me, when you meet people, how do you, I guess, discern? This is someone that genuinely I can connect with, and who's trying to say, oh, she's with Tyler Perry Studios, or she's doing how do you discern, I guess, kind of who has your best interest at heart, and protecting your heart in that way.
Yeah, I think definitely that's a challenge in this industry, because, not to lie, when I started working at the studio, and the higher up I get, people come out of the woodwork.
Right.
They're like, "Oh, okay, I have this script. Can you read my script?" And this was the same people that once studied me before. Now
Mhm.
all of a sudden they want my opinion, and they want to show me something, or they're actors and actresses. Can you put me in something, right? So it is definitely, it's an internal meter that you'll have,
Mhm.
right? And then you're not going to get it right all the time. You'll trust some
Right.
people, and then you're like, oops, they were untrustworthy. But that's okay. That's when you rely on the Holy Spirit to continue to guide you, and know that it didn't happen in vain. Every person that I meet nowadays, like, it's better to listen. I don't automatically tell
Mhm.
people where I work and stuff like that. I don't fully announce it to people. If it comes out, it comes out. If it doesn't, I just say I'm a writer,
Yeah.
because that's who I am. I am a writer. I'm a wife. I am a mother. So those are my attributes. Now, where I do that at, how many
Right.
kids and to all that, it's, we'll figure that out later. But really, when you meet people, it is really just, judging their character,
Mhm.
seeing their work, um, seeing what other people are saying about them. I've met some really amazing people in this industry. One woman particular in this studio who has taken me under her wing simply by me just telling her how proud I was of her.
Mm.
And she was just like, let's empower one another. So she's empowering me in another area that I am so like, this is so out of my element, but I've been doing it. And I'm grateful when other women can empower one another
Mm-hmm.
and have nothing in return. That's how Cass is with me. That's beautiful. Like, you have to find your circle, people who love you, in spite of you. And then even in the space where I told you where I felt very low, I told maybe a handful of people, women, who
Yeah.
checked on me, who love on me, who didn't judge me, who didn't, do any of that. So those are the people that you keep around. But everyone else, you
Absolutely.
question.
No, I get it because I was thinking, I've watched you kind of elevate as far as getting your name out there. And I go, I just pray that she's able to have that discernment and that she continues to be wise. I saw you and your husband when Brielle worked on Mixed Emotions, and I typically just stay back and watch people. I just observe people, and I saw your connection. It was something going on, and he was frustrated, and I saw the way you guys interacted with each other out of
Mm.
sheer mutual respect, even in the midst of that frustrating moment. I don't even
Yeah.
remember what the moment was, but I said, "Oh, they're genuine." I appreciated that.
Yeah.
And so I always want to celebrate and honor people who are doing amazing things but keeping a very genuine heart and being honest with who they are. And so that was really beautiful to see. Tell me how you would define success for you at this point.
Mm. It's a good one. I guess success for me is the ability to keep moving forward.
Mm.
Um, Many times we fall, we make mistakes. We're in areas that we are so uncertain, right? It's the ability to get up and do it again
Mm.
and
Yeah.
try again. That's success. The consistency, the um, putting in the work, right? Just being honorable to
Mhm.
yourself. So I think a lot of times, even a lot of us push past our own mental place and our bodies begin to respond.
Mhm.
Recognizing when your body is now saying,
Yes.
hey, chill, right? Like, there was a moment that I was really sick. I lost like 20 pounds, and although I just kept going, my body was like, ma'am, have a
You need
seat,
you need to
right?
sit down, right?
Right. So, but recognizing yourself and self love, the ability to love yourself in spite of,
Mhm.
to me, success begins there
No, I
when
love
you're able
that
to do that.
definition. I love that because so many times as we go back to the overnight success can also often take 10 to 30 years to be an overnight success.
Hmm.
Success says, I keep going. I don't stop. I don't give up. I don't stop at a discouraging word. I just continue to be who and what God created me to be.
That's it.
Um, and because I loved even the fact that you said I'm a writer, whether I'm writing
Yeah.
for Tyler Perry
Yeah.
Studios or E
Right.
Train Productions, or I'm just writing because I have something on the inside of me. That's when
Yeah.
you are operating in your gift. You're doing that thing without the big names or without the accolades. It's something that just comes out of you. And I tell people all the time. Sometimes in counseling and being a coach, there are times when I start to go into that place and people will say, don't start counseling me. And I go, that's just the way I talk. That
That's
I'm,
it.
I'm not trying to to go there. It's just you said something and it sparked something in me. And I think as artists, as really anyone who's going after a dream, to remember to do the thing that God put on the inside of you, and your gift literally, and you hear it all the time, your gift will make room for you.
Listen,
Um,
R. Kelly was, in trouble for a lot of things that he's done, and I don't agree with the things that he's done, but you can't deny he has a gift. The
mhm.
gift comes without repentance. A gift is a gift. It's given to you. You're pretty. That means it's a gift. You didn't work for that, right?
Yeah.
So those are the things, and the fiber of who you are. Like, I was motherly before I became a mother. I was a writer before I worked at the studio. I was wifely before I became a wife. Those are just the attributes of who I am. And that's just when you recognize that, when then you got to understand when you have a gift is when people want to pay you for it.
Hmm.
So you understand you have a gift when people are like, oh my God. And you have to recognize, who, because some people want to be actors and actresses and ain't getting hired. Then you know what? Then let me shift that.
Mm.
I want it to be, disclaimer, I was supposed to be a Broadway star. When I was younger, I was supposed to be a Broadway star. People don't know that I can sing. I can sing. My husband tells me that all the time, even though I don't acknowledge it. Like I sing at home, I sing in the car,
Hmm.
but it was something that I thought I was going to do, and I did not end up doing that. And I ended up being a writer, but that's okay.
Mm.
It's like I was able to shift that creativity into something else and not get stuck into this is who I'm supposed to be. Well,
Oh,
then,
I love
like
that.
my husband he's an actor. He's a phenomenal actor, right? But he wasn't getting hired. So then he started to produce his own stuff and then acting in his own stuff. And to me, he's
Hmm.
an amazing actor. So, I think it's all about perspective and don't get stuck, in this one little area. Just do it all. Do what you can do and then
Yes.
figure it out.
No, that to me is golden. That shift moment is because
Hmm.
that's when people start to say, you know, oh, she came for this, but that door wasn't opening, and so she created a door over here. And pretty
Hmm.
soon, when all the doors start to swing open, but you have to be willing to be, you have to be flexible,
That's right.
committed to the goal, but flexible in your approach. And so the goal is to live out what God created us to do. The goal is to please the Father and to manifest what He created us for, right? And
That's right.
so sometimes it's not going to come. I know with acting, it has been when I came out here, probably the first year. Now, mind you, a single mom with, she
Mm.
was 3 at the time we moved. So I was going, they've got these networking events and all of these classes. I can't attend any of this
Right.
because I don't know anybody well enough to trust with my baby. Um, and so I was,
Hmm.
it felt like I wasn't getting these opportunities and all this stuff. And God was like, you have so many other gifts and talents. You don't have to just sit back and wait for, you know, this one area or for someone to see
That's
you or
right.
to you. And so I love that concept of shifting
Mm.
because, and I think social media gives us that platform and that outlet to shift because so many people are discouraged because they feel like they've gone after a dream or they've
That's right.
gone after a goal and didn't accomplish it. And it feels like I didn't win or I didn't
Yeah.
I wasn't successful rather than saying, hey, maybe it didn't go that way, the way I wanted it, but I can still begin to pivot because I still have so much on the inside of me. So I love
That's
that
it.
concept.
Hmm.
Um, let's see. Tell me, I know you're in counseling now. You're successful. How do you deal with pressure from the online community, or if you even experience pressure from the online community?
So I'm not as prevalent on social media. Like I'll post maybe once a month, or I'll post random stories about my kids or the Grammys this past weekend. My Instagram was popping because it was it was well
You did
worth
look fabulous.
promoting my family. Thank you. So I have not personally dealt with like backlash on that, but like we have our son who is a social media influencer on TikTok, and like he experienced that some backlash during the pandemic, and it was hard on him. And I definitely see that. And we have our youngest little son who is easily influenced, who's 11 years old, by TikTok and social media and stuff like that. So I think this new generation has a little bit more of a challenge
Hmm.
in regards to managing their emotions because
What?
our streets are different from their streets. Their streets are online. Our
Right.
streets were the streets, and we can go
Right.
home and, hear
So,
nothing
as a
else.
mom, what advice did you give to your son, or what advice would you give to up and coming influencers and people who may have to deal with that social media backlash?
Yeah, so definitely, that's why a foundation is so important for
Mm.
parents to just instill a foundation into your children, developing who they are. Um, as children, as young men and young women, developing their ability to, their bounce back, giving them the ability to do that, loving on them, praying for them, limiting their social media sometimes, and using
Mhm.
it for their own narrative. The good thing about social media is that these kids are able to express themselves however they want. They can be whoever they want, right? But the hard part is when that camera goes off, they're lonely.
Mhm.
They have no one to talk to, and like they're used to just being online with people or chatting, and
Yeah.
so they're awkward socially. Um, so developing their social skills is important as well. I think us as parents, we have a responsibility to this generation to just give them that foundation of God and foundation of truth, because a
Mhm.
lot of social media is lies, right? So
Yes.
starting off with the true foundation of who they are and whose they are is very important. And that doesn't mean that they're gonna always believe you, but at least for me, I know that the word does not return void. So if I'm going to instill that word in them, it will come back.
Yeah. That's good. So Maggie, as we end, what would you say, any parting words for someone again in this industry or just in general, saying I have a goal, I have a dream, and I want to know how to take care of myself and still go full force, running to do that goal.
Hmm. Yep. So I think, and I'm sorry to be so deep, but when you worship God, you worship in spirit and in truth,
Mm-hmm.
right? So there's a spiritual aspect that you need to make sure that you have that foundation, which is in the Lord. Have that foundation because you're
Mm-hmm.
going to need it in this industry.
Absolutely.
So if you don't have that foundation, the rug can be pulled from under you. It was pulled up from under me this year, but I still felt God's presence and God's hand. I know that because I'm still here. And that's my testimony. So for those of you who are out there who are trying to accomplish your goal, be consistent,
Mm-hmm.
um, be honorable, sow seeds. If you don't know how to do it yourself, do it for someone else. I think be armor bearer for someone else, write someone else's stuff, be on someone else's set, learn the
Mm-hmm.
craft, honor the craft, but also honor yourself in the midst of that. Know what you can and cannot take. If you need help, seek counsel, get a mentor. I think that's number one for
Yeah.
me. Like a mentor, getting my mentor was so important. Cass Seegers is my mentor who has developed me and helped me. Like I read her scripts and she writes for Hallmark and BET,
Mm-hmm.
and so I feel so honored whenever she asks me to do that, right? Um, and also, just the value system of my husband, who is create to connect. He connects with a lot of different people and he creates, and he kind of like that missing puzzle for people. Oh, you do that, and that's what Greenlit ATL kind of does for people as well. Like connecting with others in your industry is also very much important, and getting yourself out there. This industry is about connections mostly than anything.
Mm-hmm.
So just being able to connect with others and being genuine to who you are. Confidence helps. Confidence is built through knowing your craft.
Yes.
So developing your craft is very important, because then now I don't feel like a fraud when I'm in front of someone. It's like, yeah, I wrote something. I'm a writer and I haven't written anything. Or you know what I mean? So I think that helps as well.
So again, thank you so very much. I want to kind of encourage everybody to share this video. Confidence is where I struggle.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I think I'm looking at the comments here. She says confidence is where she struggles. I would say for anyone who struggles with the confidence, like Maggie said, continue to practice. And most of the time, your first work won't be great. You know,
Right.
Maggie talked about this. You may have missed it. Go back and watch the rest of it. When she first started writing, a lot of the material wasn't accepted widely
Right.
and all of those things. And so you just
Right.
keep going and your confidence builds as you stick with anything, being a mom, being an actress, being a doctor, anything. Even I remember my first sessions when I first started as a counselor, really going, oh my gosh, I hope I don't mess up something. I hope I don't ruin somebody's life. And now I'll come in and again, I don't claim to know everything, but I do feel confident when I'm in in the zone, when I'm in there with my clients, I feel confident that we will be able to work effectively and get to the bottom of those things. So I would definitely say when you have that struggle with confidence, that you just continue to stay committed to learning, to growing,
That's right.
and also stay committed to the process. Yes, Shavondra, stick with it. Absolutely. So
The
again, I want
process. That's a good word. The process.
the
Boy, that
process. Yes,
process.
stick with it. Because
Mhm.
there are times, again, like you talked about that shift, sticking with it doesn't mean you have to stick with one way. It
Right.
means you're committed to just continuing to walk out the process. And
That's it.
as you're walking it out, you may have to say, ooh, I thought I was going to enter this industry through acting, but I actually end up entering this industry through writing or through
Mm-hmm.
producing, or I started
Mm-hmm.
editing for somebody. And you said something else that I think is something near and dear to my heart, which was honor, and being able to honor those people that are around you that are doing amazing things, and to treat them with respect. So I think that piece is something that a lot of people don't understand and don't really fully grasp the importance of honor and sowing
Mm.
seeds. Like all of those things, you're talking my language now. When you start talking about, hey, this person has poured into my life. I want to honor them. I want to sow seeds into people that are doing good things. I want to sow seeds into people who are trying to get where I am, and to people who are already where I want to be. That all of those things those are the golden nuggets for me for success.
Mm-hmm.
It's not
Yes.
just, oh, she's a great actress or she's a great producer or writer. Those are across the board. You're going to find great actors, great producers, all of that
Mm-hmm.
every
You're
day.
gonna
But
find better ones. Like that don't make them,
absolutely.
you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Can you be honorable? Can you be committed to doing what you say you're going to do? So again, I think that's just super important. And that is why I was like, I want Maggie on the here. I want to get someone.
I didn't. I'm gonna be honest. I didn't know where this was gonna go because I'm like, Lord, I'm gonna be vulnerable. You know, like I don't know where this is gonna go, and a lot of people they look up to me, and I need to be very vulnerable and honest to where I'm at to help you to know that it's not success is not because I'm at this beautiful studio, which is a dream, by the way, and I'm very much grateful to be here. But that's not how I define the success
Mhm.
that I'm in. You know what I mean? I am
Yeah.
grateful. And I do believe God is going to use this place to elevate me to the next level. But I have to be true to who I am. And even if I don't know what that means yet, that's okay too.
Yeah. And I think, again, like you said, your ability to be vulnerable is going to be a blessing. Um,
Amen.
it is, somebody's going to hear it and say, wait a minute, she's going to therapy and
Mm.
she's writing, she's doing this, she's doing it, and she still recognized the need for that. That is going to
Yeah.
help so many people. And so again, I appreciate you coming with your vulnerability. I appreciate you being willing to share that with the world, and to be willing to say, yes, I want to help some other people. And that's why I'm here. So I want everybody on here now, go ahead, continue to share. I know we're almost at the end, but share this so they can watch the replay. Share this. We want to get as many people aware. We're going to be back here Thursday, talking about mental health and different arenas of life. And so we're just so honored. Also, I want to let everybody know, starting in March, I did it back in January. Starting March 1st, we will launch another 14-day mental health challenge. In this challenge, every day, the people basically get a mental health challenge, and
Hmm.
we had a community. The last one was really great. But what I realized at the end was most people said, I didn't know about it. I didn't know about it. And so I said, okay, well, I'll do another one. So starting in March, we are going to do the 14-day mental health challenge. Why? Because we want to make sure that across the board, we're talking about mental health. But personally, I want to work with my community, the Black community,
Mm.
communities of color, to say, hey, this is not something we want to push down. We want to take care of
That's right.
ourselves. We want to
That's
be
right.
healthy. We want to look successful, but we also want to be successful
That's it.
internally and externally. It's not
That's it.
just looking good on social media. Anybody can put some filters up. We want to be healthy individuals. And so, again, thank you guys. Thank you, Maggie. Everybody give Maggie a shout out.
Ooh.
Thank you so much for
And
your
congratulations to you.
time.
Keep doing this. This is
Thank
wonderful.
you. Thank you so much. I will. This is
Yeah.
something God told me to do, and I kind of drug my feet on it a little bit. And I said, you know what? I'm going to start this. And so I just kind of jumped out there, and we're still working through some things. You are my
Mhm.
second person I've had on.
Okay.
And so we're going to just every week, we're going to come back and we're going to continue to build this and do what God told us to do. And we know that as long as you're doing what he told you to do out of obedience, you're
That's
in a
right.
good place. So
That's
again,
right. Well, keep blessing the folk because this
yes,
is
yes,
good.
yes. So again, thank you so much. God bless you. And you guys, thank you for joining us. And I will talk to you all later. Bye-bye.